Dr. Revelle, in your capacity as science advisor to the Secretary of the Interior, you headed a panel to help solve Pakistan's very serious food problems. Why should the United States be so worried about the welfare of a country so far away?
That's a very good question. As far as I can make out, there are several reasons. I must say that I'm completely convinced. The first one is that Pakistan is the fifth largest country on earth. It's got 100 million people in it. There are only 4 countries that are bigger: India, China, the USSR, and the USA. Second, they're one of our best allies. They represent a very strong defensive force containing communism on the soft underbelly of Asia. In third place, I'm convinced that a miracle can be worked in Pakistan of the same kind that has been worked in Japan during the past 50 years, which has made Japan into a modern country and made them into one of our best customers. And I think that Pakistan, within the next generation, within the next 25 to 30 years, can likewise be made into a modern country, and that this will greatly benefit our economy in terms of trade with them, just as our helping Japan has greatly benefited our economy in trading with Japan.
Well, and helping a country like Pakistan is of value and interest to the average American?
Well, don't you think it is from these reasons? But I think an even more fundamental reason is that we just can't live in a world in which 1/3 of the people get too much to eat and 2/3 of the people don't get enough. And in Pakistan right now, there's desperate hunger and getting worse all the time. The population is increasing faster than the food supply, and this is particularly bad in terms of protein. The children there are not getting enough protein. The result is that their minds, as well as their bodies, are being stunted. You go out into the country villages and you see children 4 or 5 years old with swollen bellies and pipe stem arms, typical symptoms of severe malnutrition. This is bad enough, but when you think that those kids will grow up without reaching their full mental capacity because of protein starvation, it just makes you sick. And it seems to me this is the basic reason that we Americans can't, with good conscience, live in a world in which many people don't get enough to eat. We've got to do something about that.
Along those same lines, Dr. Revelle, there has been some criticism of the government sending a mission from California to help Chile solve its agricultural problems. This mission is under the command of Hugo Fisher, former state senator from San Diego. And one of the arguments is that all we're doing is to help Chile undercut California agricultural production. We have enough problems of our own here. Let's solve them here first.
Well, Harold, as you know, our problems in California aren't agricultural problems at all. They're industrial problems. We've got a very prosperous agriculture here in California. Our problem here is to develop our industry and to develop markets for our industry. And again, the possibility of creating a market in Chile is a very promising and hopeful thing. But again, the principal reason is we've got to keep the South American countries from communism, and Chile particularly is in quite a vulnerable position because of their serious economic difficulties and their extreme poverty that many of these quite intelligent people are suffering from. And there's a real danger that they will have a quite radical revolution. This is something that I think has got to be prevented. On the other hand, it seems to me it is true that this is a job for the United States rather than a job for California taxpayers as taxpayers. But it's certainly desirable that our California experts should go to Chile, because Chile and California are very much alike in many ways, in terms of water, in terms of climate, in terms of landscape, even in many ways in terms of the kinds of people that are there.
Dr. Revelle, what did you think the university should be like when you pioneered the campus here some years ago?
Well, I thought it ought to be a place, as I think it is becoming, where students and the faculty are colleagues, where they work together to solve problems that neither of them knows the answer to.
Well, one has to learn how to solve these problems, I guess, in a rapidly changing world, because what they learn in university now is going to be out of date in just a few years, isn't that right?
That's right. The problem is to learn how to learn without a teacher, how to solve problems. And I think the best way to do this is actually to solve them. That's how you learn how to do it. As you say, nothing that you learn in college now will do you very much good 10 years later, except the fundamentals, the fundamental laws of physics and chemistry, the fundamental laws of biology, of genetics and evolution, and the fundamental laws of human behavior. human beings are always pretty much alike throughout history, and that's why prophecy is possible.
But despite these immutable facts, there still are great changes that a person is not equipped to cope with unless he does go to a university. Is that right?
I certainly feel this way. And I feel also that you've got to keep on going to a university throughout life. The motto of the University of California, lifelong learning, seems to me to be a very fundamental and very key thing.
Dr. Revelle, there are many who feel that universities give students too much freedom, which leads to irresponsible acts and unwarrantedly rebellious attitudes.
Well, I think they don't give them enough freedom. But the problem is to give them the right kind of freedom, the freedom to be responsible, the freedom to ask questions, the freedom to look into things that haven't been looked into, and to take a new point of view, a new cut at it. And this is so much fun and so exciting that if you give the students enough of this kind of freedom, instead of trying to spoon feed them a lot of facts and a lot of math, that you won't have any. I don't think you'll have any other problems.
There's also the criticism that you undoubtedly have heard that university faculties lean towards the liberal side and influence the attitudes of students in that direction.
But if you just think about what a university is, how can you help this? A university is a place where people ask questions. But it's not a place where you simply say what's accepted. The very essence of the scholarly enterprise, of the intellectual enterprise, is to inquire, to ask whether this is so or not. And in that case, if you do this, you're bound to say that many things need to be changed. And a liberal point of view is simply a point of view which says that at least some things should be changed.
You must be quite thrilled at having the first college of the University of California at San Diego named Revelle College.
Well, I don't quite know how to feel about this. You know, it's sort of like being a monument while you're still alive, and I'm kind of puzzled as to how to act. One thing that bothers me is that I always feel as if I just graduated from college, yet in fact I graduated from college in 1929, and right now the freshman class here is the class of 1969. I just find this awfully hard to believe.